Positive Thursday with Zorry on the first podcast of 2019. But first, I would like to thank God for allowing it to be possible for me to be able to do this, because without Him, it wouldn't be. I want to thank my old subscribers that joined me last year on Positive Thursday, and I also want to welcome my new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me. We are going to have so much fun. This whole year of 2019, I have some exciting topics that I'm going to be talking about each month, and of course, I'm going to love to hear your feedback. And this whole month of January, I'm going to be talking about inspirational movies. The first movie that I'm going to be talking about today is The Pursuit of Happiness, where Will Smith plays Chris Gardner, the homeless man that worked his way up to become one of the most successful stockbrokers. So what I love most about this movie is that not only do Will Smith play Chris Gardner, but also Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith, play alongside him. And it's like that you see that fatherly bond with a father and son that you don't even see now today. So I just thought I wanted to share that. That was just so cute. In the beginning of the movie, Chris Gardner, he started out a business where he sold medical equipment, to doctors. And on one of the parts in the movie, what I love about his determination was that somebody he had set the medical equipment down, and this couple, they stole it. They picked it up. He was in the park. He set the medical equipment down. The couple came up when he wasn't looking, took the equipment, and started running with it. So Chris Gardner, he seen that the medical equipment was no longer on the grass. So he started chasing them, and he chased them so far that they was on a bus, and he grabbed his equipment back from them, because he knew that if he didn't get that medical equipment, because that's what he sold to doctors, and that was the income that he used it, to help support his family. That part was just so funny, but that helped him to support his family, so he had to get that medical equipment back. So he did the business for a long time, and when things wasn't working out like it was supposed to, it caused a lot of conflict in his household with him and his son mom. I'm not for sure was it his wife. I guess it was his wife. And they was arguing and fighting because she was pressuring him about the bills, and they're going to be living out on the street, and he was all frustrated. So anyway, to make a long story short, he was determined. He was determined to pursue, to make the business, successful by selling the medical equipment. And then he, one day, I think I remember in the movie one day, I know some of you probably have seen the movie Pursuit of Happiness. I forgot the guy's name that plays in the movie. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, he's one of the big people, persons that's a part of the company. I think it's called Dean Reynolds stock company, brokerage company. He was one of the big top persons. So Chris Gardner was so determined to pursue something else, like in stock and brokerage. He kept coming in contact with this guy that was a huge part of the company. He was talking to him, engaging with him. He had his suit on and everything. He kept coming in contact with this guy and talking about, how he wanted to be a part of the stockage company. I mean, he was just so determined. So one day the guy gave him the opportunity. He was like, look, come in. I want you to meet some of my business partners that's a part of the firm. So Chris Gardner, he was so excited about the opportunity. So when he got home, he was painting the apartment, although he was facing hardships, of not bringing enough income in, but he knew that he was able to get in the stock company, brokerage company, that he can have a more stable financial life for him and his son and his wife. So he was painting the apartment one day. The cops knocks on his door because he had outstanding ticket balance. They locked him up for a couple days. He thought he wasn't going to be able to make it to the interview. He had to be a part of an intern to be a part of the stockage company. He was very, thinking in the jail cell. He was very upset, crying. He had to call his son mom to pick his son up from daycare because he knew he wasn't getting out of jail. So days passed. He was able to pay the parking ticket. He didn't even get a chance to change his clothes. He ran straight to the interview at Dean Waters' law firm. At Dean. Let me get the name correct. Dean Witter Reynolds. He ran to the building where the stock law firm company was at for the interview with the same clothes he had on that he got locked up in. Now, is that determination or what? Jacket with paint all over it, pants with paint all over it. So he goes in for his interview. He meet all the guys from the company that was a big part of the company, and the guy that he came in contact with that helped him to get the interview. And they was asking him, what happened. He wasn't dressed up in a suit like he usually be, but he said he usually do. He be dressed up, like, due to the situation with his parking tickets. He said something, I forgot the exact part in the movie, but he had them cracking up because they seen not only was he determined, but he had humor in his situation. When people like us, when we get in situations like that, like, obstacles, we get down and depressed, but he brought humor out in his situation. And they laughed, and they gave him an opportunity to become an intern at Dean Water Reynolds stock company. He worked it so hard, making phone calls to prospective customers, and he worked his way up. And he had to take a examination. I think it was a 7 exams to be a part of the stock company. So not only was he determined in the company, because it was other people that was competing to be a part too, but he worked so hard he didn't even take breaks. I remember the part of the movie, I don't know if y'all remember the part of the movie when he was making the phone calls, and when you seen the other people was taking water breaks and all that, and bathroom breaks. He didn't do that because that was cutting out the time that he could be making phone calls to prospective customers. And on one of the phone calls, he made a phone call to one of the prospective customers. He's like, I'm Chris Gardner, calling from Dean Waters. We want to know if are you interested in some of our products? And the guy was like, can you be here in 20 minutes? Without even hesitation, Chris Gardner made the opportunity to meet up with the person that he was on the phone with, to meet up with him to talk to him about the products of the company. So that's another part of determination that he was pursued, that made him to drive. So he did all that, the determination. He did it for a very long time, and he was facing eviction. Him and his son and his son mom, they was getting evicted, and the escalation, things escalated between his son, mom, and him because he could no longer afford the rent. They was getting evicted. They got evicted. Chris Gardner wound up taking his son with him. They was homeless for almost about a year. Living in shelters, living at the bus station in bathrooms. The people at the stock brokerage company, they didn't know that because the way he presented himself, he still wore his suits. He did everything that he had to do to survive. Although it was really hardships that he went through, crying, times that he wanted to give up, but he stood in there. He stood in there, and he didn't let them obstacles get away. Although he was facing so many obstacles was coming against him, because he was doing everything that he needed to do to survive, to make a better life for him and his son. And one day, his hard work paid off. He passed the 7 series exam the first time. The top executives at Dean Ritter Reynolds, they called him into the office. It was like 6 guys, and they wound up hiring him as a permanent stockbroker. So he made it in. He started crying with tears coming down his eyes. That was like one of my favorite parts in the movie, because hard work pays off. One of them times when we want to give up, when we going through different situations in life, and not only even about pursuing anything, it's about just having peace in our heart, or just anything that we're trying to do in life. That hard work pays off. And them things that we go through is to prepare us to become better people. Not saying we're not good now, but it strengthens us inside. I just want to say thank you for joining me on this Positive Thursday. And if you haven't seen the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, watch it. Go get it. You can watch it right online on Netflix. It's so many ways that you can watch it. It's an excellent movie. It's a family movie. Watch it. Your life won't be the same. God bless each one of you. And remember, there is powers in a number, and I'm glad to know that this Positive Thursday has inspired you. Please share, because there is powers in the numbers. God bless y'all. Have a great week.